We've got a very interesting sort of session lined up, and it is so interesting that we've been discussing this for the last 2 days with the panels, and the discussions are going on and on. But what we'll do is we'll try and bring a lot of those thoughts over in 30 minutes, which we have. Uh, so the whole discussion is about retail media. What's the future? What's happening in India at this point of time? And just a little background from whatever sort of estimates which I have read about. Uh, Retail media now contributes almost 20% of the digital addicts. So and it's the fastest growing. The expectation is it's growing over 50%. So while the large networks like Google and Facebook are growing in 10 to 20%, retail media grows at approximately 50%, and that also varies. When you look at quick commerce, it is growing like probably at 70%, while it still has a small share, but the growth is rapid. So with that, we've got a very interesting panel, and what I would like to kick off this session is that just your views in terms of how are you looking at retail media. What do you see the potential in India? What's the landscape like? So Aditya, if you could just start off.
Sure. Good to be here. Thanks for having me. In terms of share, when you mentioned share of retail media is 20%, actually for the SMBs, it would be even more. For, let's say, somebody like us, it's almost 30%. I think in terms of potential, short answer is that there is massive potential. We've just scratched the tip of the iceberg. Both, if in a matter of speaking, if I say both horizontally and vertically, when you divide retail media, you have Amazon on one side, and then you have maybe guys like Flipkart and Myntra and the other horizontal guys, and then, like you said, you have the quick commerce guys. When you look at Amazon and how sophisticated its platform is, it's clearly head and shoulders above the rest, and you can say that that's kind of the benchmark to keep. When you look at Flipkart, Myntra, it was a slow pace for many years where the level of sophistication was relatively lower, but they've done some catching up, some targeting that they've added. But I would say still there's a lot of scope on targeting and reporting which they're yet to fully fulfill. And then when you look at the quick commerce guys, they've just scratched the surface. So these are not platforms that really have sophisticated ad engines as yet. So that's the horizontal landscape where there's a lot of opportunity. But even when you slice and take up somebody like Amazon itself, we've been advertising on Amazon for a few years. There also, I would say that the bulk of the spends are, you do the sponsored products, which is the most front and center piece, sponsored brands a little bit, sponsored display not as much, and then you have something like DSP right now, which is just being piloted, where you can monetize your homepage, category pages. So, even something like Amazon, there's just so much scope, both, off the platform, other audiences beyond the platform that are there to leverage. So the scope is massive.
So just would like to probe you a little bit more. Uh, so if given a choice today, like if you had more money to spend, would you look at diving deeper into Amazon, or would you want to explore some other platforms?
We'd definitely like to, as a brand, you want to have as many platforms that where your budgets get split. Today, I'd say amongst the marketplaces, 70% of our budgets goes to Amazon, which I think is a little over-indexed when you look at the actual share of of revenue happening. It's not like 70% of revenue is happening on an Amazon for our category. So definitely that equation, we'd like to balance it out a bit and have your other 3-4 platforms also being meaningful in terms of being able to absorb budgets, because right now it's a little minimal.
Got it, got it. Akhil, what's your view? Are you like, is it something similar for you, given your category, Harman, big brand, uh, compared to a D2C brand? So what's your view on that?
No, I tend to agree with Aditya in terms of if we have to see this landscape in the vertical manner, I would say Amazon would be the biggest player in the market. But yes, there is a rise of quick commerce also in India. And if I have to talk about JBL, which is a premium brand, what we also did is we took baby steps while exploring quick commerce platforms. We were earlier skeptical about using the quick commerce platforms because we earlier thought that only the low ASP products would sell on these quick commerce platforms. But to our surprise, Blinkit gave quite a surprise to us, in the sense that on 31st of December we sold quite a lot of party boxes. So that was a kind of a pleasant surprise for us.
But when like Aditya was saying that 70% is on Amazon, what would it be for you? Like Amazon is still the largest,
Yeah, definitely.
but it would be 70-80% or like approximately.
So if I have to talk about the online sales or the online revenue, Amazon would take a major chunk. It would be close to 60 to 65% for us. And then there would be Flipkart, and then we are exploring quick commerce platforms, and they are giving a good response in terms of the overall revenue and conversions. Amazon does for it because Amazon has huge opportunity or huge kind of a platform where we can target consumers not only from the bottom funnel perspective but also from the top and mid funnel perspective. So that's not only the platform we explore only for conversions, but also to drive consideration for our products.
Got it. Interesting. Very interesting. Medhabi, what's your view, given that you handle multiple categories and across platforms? So, what is your view about this entire landscape?
So I think from a retail media perspective, I'd say, let's zoom out a little to see that in terms of global trends, retail media has been picking up for a really long time. But now it's at a stage where it is at a 23% market share globally. And now is when, like, if you look at it a few years back, India was really far behind. And now it's caught up and it's at exactly the same percentage as the global trends. So at least one thing which is great for us is that in India, people are realizing the potential of retail media as well. And I think all the brands have at least started to explore retail media. When you look at it, whether it is on platform or off platform, people have realized the importance that it brings. And it's actually expedited by a lot of things. Let's say within India, obviously digital is the fastest growing. It has the highest segment. It ended at 49%, expected to grow to 55 or 60%. But overall, from a digital landscape, the way it has been trending, I think retailers have a wealth of first-party data, and that becomes really core to brands to explore. So one is that there is enough and more data that has happened. There has been vast advancements in technology. Like for us also, Criteo is a great technology provider when it comes to retail media. Then there are things like closed loop measurement, which people, when they were doing traditional advertising, they were not really able to realize that whatever branding money they're spending, where is it going, what's the final outcome of that, and can there be other metrics other than the core metrics that they're tracking? Can there potentially be other metrics that they can track? So all those things have really led to growth in retail media. And I think lastly, all the advancement in AI, which really helps people, one, to personalize ads, two, to just be able to do more precise targeting of audiences, and three, just understand consumers and getting better analytics. So I think those things have really led to a vast advancement of retail media, but as the topic says, I think still lots more to do and still lots more to explore.
Got it. Given Paytm, which is a payment app, and it's a gateway to a lot of these purchases. So, what's your view? How are you looking at things differently?
Right. So, just I think one thing I'll take from what Medhavi was saying, that with the closed loop spends, becoming important today. I think the advertiser today has moved from clicks and reaches and impressions to obviously ROAS and CAC, right? That's what you want. That's what I'm guessing, and Aditya wants for his advertising budget. That's what Akhil wants for his advertising budget, right? And that's where I think that is why we're seeing the boom of the quick commerce and the e-commerce, where full funnel measurement or closed loop measurement, of course, is being advent, right? I think from a payments app perspective, where fintech today plays a role, is the fact that while a quick commerce or an e-commerce platform will obviously provide you an opportunity to engage and target a user who's a commerce user, right? The persona of this user is way beyond that, right? Consumer journeys are not linear. Your online journeys, offline journeys, right? What a fintech app like a Paytm today does is, there is a large merchant ecosystem. There are payment gateways. A Paytm today, and maybe other fintech apps also, would know this consumer who has shopped on a Amazon or a Blinkit or quick commerce, e-commerce, what is the kind of fuel that he gets in this car, right? How much credit card spend does this user do today? What's the frequency of their flight purchases, right? How often does this travel? Because these are businesses which are captive, right? So not just their online shopping behavior, but a fintech, I would say a cohorting, helps provide a larger persona for this user, and thus this cohorting or this persona can be targeted and used at any other retail media platform as well. That's what sort of the audience network that a fintech today provides, right? As to participate in this retail media ecosystem.
Got it. Interesting. So I'll come back to you in a bit on that, but let me come back to the marketeers. Specifically when it comes to retail media, while what we've understood from the conversation, yes, there's a lot of scope, and there's a lot of growth. Do you all see any challenges specifically? Because the growth is what I envisage, and what I can hear from all of you all is that the growth is going to come from this medium. But do you anticipate any challenges, anything which stops you from spending more or spending a lot more?
A couple of things. One is, what one finds is that no matter where you're present, getting price parity for a brand on every platform is a difficult thing to accomplish, because every platform has its own discount structure, events where it's promoting itself, card offers which are very different from one platform to the other. So, if there is a price difference between any platform, no matter how much you spend and how good the ad platform is, it's not a level playing field for you to get the efficiency that you expect. So, any tools which allow, today it's a very manual, tedious exercise to make sure that price parity exists 24/7 across an SKU count that could be, there could be multiple sellers selling what you are. So it's a difficult thing to manage, but I would say that is, that has a very direct outcome on what efficiency one would get when one is spending on retail media. I think the other is that, where retail media is behind, let's say today, almost 60-70% of our budget goes to the D2C side. And what's really great in the D2C side, and it's understandable that a retailer doesn't want to share actual customer data because it's that, it's their customer. But can they do more in giving like a customer view, an audience view, which tells us that, okay, the customer has hopped from this product to that product to the other. You can probably know that this product gets these many views and this product gets the other views, but you can't really trace that journey as much. I think, related point to that, when you think of add to carts and checkouts, that it becomes much easier to remarket that on D2C, and that's a very strong audience that converts on D2C. So if one could enable that angle and that sort of remarketing on retail media, that would suddenly open up, a lot more opportunity.
Got it. And what's any challenges, Akhil, you are facing, given that now you've started scaling across platforms, including quick commerce? Anything that comes to your mind?
So I would like to answer this question by quoting only about Amazon. Like Aditya also mentioned, Amazon as a platform not only give us an opportunity to promote or advertise within the platform, but also outside the platform. So I'm talking about the search ads or the display ads, which you can probably use inside platform to reach out to consumer, but also the DSP ads, which a brand can use to reach out to customers outside of the Amazon platform. But what happens as a challenge for us, for JBL, is that sometimes the teams are working or are activating all the ads in the one go. So the outside platform activities are also live, and on the inside platform activities are also live. So most of the time it gets very difficult for us to attribute the sale happened from which source, whether it happened from the inside platform activities or the outside platform activities. So attribution in that case is it's a kind of a problem for us, and hence it stops us to kind of allocate more and more spends. And yeah, if I have to quote another challenge at the brand side, it's also a problem that which team would manage what. The online sales team usually manage the inside platform activities, and I kind of represent the outside platform or the marketing side of things, and I manage the DSP side of things. So it gets difficult internally as to who would manage what and how we both would work towards a single objective. Yeah.
Very very interesting, and that was one of the questions which I had in mind is about attribution. Currently, we are just talking about the Amazon world, but if we were to look at all the platforms, and let's assume that all the platforms develop that capability, that would become a huge sort of a challenge, because then you're just measuring it individually and you don't have a complete view. Any thoughts on that? Any kind of work which you all have done internally to say that we could do it across multiple platforms, and then have learnings or anything?
It's a difficult thing to solve. Today on D2C, attributing between Google and Facebook is always, it opens up a can of worms, and you have some tools which allow you to, make a distinction between it. But by default, there is always a big overlap between the two. I think at our stage right now, because the spends on the other platforms outside of Amazon, so it's always a challenge to attribute between D2C and Amazon. When we increase our spends on D2C, we find Amazon working better and vice versa. But probably the attribution between the marketplaces platforms, we haven't delved too much into it because the spends a little on the lower side.
Anything from your end, Akhil?
No, I would be happy to listen to what Anshul and Medhavi says on this. But yeah, we haven't been able to find a single solution which can give us attribution across the channels or across the mediums.
So this is your chance to give your sales spiel. Over to you, Medhavi.
No, absolutely. I think, I was just touching upon, I was automatically also going to touch upon the same point that, with platforms like Criteo, what happens is, as an example, in India, we're partnered for off-platform with Flipkart, Swiggy, Zepto, Blinkit, so like all quick com, Flipkart, so a lot of e-com and quick com partners. And what that presents as an opportunity for brands is, one, understanding their audiences better, and two, in terms of measurement and attribution, the same attribution happens for us. Like, we'll do the same attribution model, gets applied across for each of the platforms. And while obviously when you go to individually to every platform, it operates in a certain walled garden siloed kind of way, what we're able to do is we're able to give you learnings of the customer journey, right? And we're able to help you understand your consumer better. Per platform, you're actually able to understand what your share of voice is, you're able to understand what your share of sales is, and you're able to understand even affinity to say that somebody who's buying my brand, which other brands are they buying, which other categories are they buying. So it gives you insights to move out of your gut and be data backed to say that, this is what we do, this is why we do it. I think it really helps in terms of both measurement and attribution. And I think one more challenge that you presented, so I'll quickly speak about that as well, that when on-site and off-site work together, then how do you attribute? Obviously, it's a difficult attribution. It's not straightforward, but just like in other digital advertising, there are going to be multi-touch points when it comes to attribution. When Criteo, we did a research, we found out that when on-site and off-site ads, on-platform and off-platform ads are done together, then there's a 5x chance of a user to convert, right? So these ads will coexist, I think, and attribution, while complex, I think is complex for the whole digital system, but it's still far more advanced than what you would see in traditional ways.
Got it. And it's better to have something than not have anything. So it could be dangerous also. What's your view from a fintech side?
Right. No, I don't expect to, first of all, to Aditya to be able to solve this problem right away on this stage on attribution, but I'll give you my point of view here. So I think because we do, of course, a lot of branding campaigns, etc. as well, we saw, for example, in the case of an FMCG, right, there's tons of first party data collection that we help collect through gamification, etc. Now the problem that comes is that I think advertisers are sitting on tons of first party data but don't know what to do with it, right? And so what we do is we sort of integrate with a lot of our advertisers and help run then performance ads on their first party data. That's number one in terms of taking it closed loop. Secondly, our focus also, I think, is a lot on performance marketing, where we're able to do this through couponing, do this through offer-based ads, and in terms of today, where I see this evolving is, I would imagine maybe a fintech, maybe another platform would become an aggregator of quick commerce also. The problem that today Aditya cited, right, that how do you maintain price parity across all? Why would Aditya want to spend separately on a a Swiggy, a Zepto, or a Blinkit, right? Is there a possibility of a day with a platform which is with large audience network, which aggregates let's say catalogs from all these three, and you spend directly on those, right? And that could give you consumer journeys across all three at the same time, right? So I think retail media is an evolving word. Today we don't have a solution for full funnel attribution, of course, but I think like Medhavi said, a lot of this is better than what it used to be before.
Interesting, and what I would like to come back to both of y'all is that while we've understood some of the challenges, and and there are certain ways to sort of overcome that, but from each of you, like, do you have any? One is about the future, like, how are you anticipating the future? How is your platform getting ready for that? And is there any case or anything which you would like to discuss, saying that, yeah, this is something which we've done, this is the best case, where probably Aditya, Akhil could borrow or learn? Again, a sales spiel for you.
Okay, so I think I'll give a few examples maybe quickly in terms of retail media. One is when we partnered with Swiggy, and we were talking to Kellogg's. Okay, so they wanted to understand it, they wanted to get to breakfast ordering audiences because that's their core segment, right? And the great part with a platform like Swiggy or with others like Zomato, Blinkit as well, is that you have the delivery audiences and you have a grocery audience together. So you're able to understand the breakfast audiences and you're actually able to deliver a different product to them. So we were able to use that, and on top of that obviously apply our AI, apply our learnings, apply our dynamic creative optimization technology to ultimately deliver results. What they were looking was just to get a reach in the right audiences, but we were able to deliver a great new to brand ratio of 25%. We were also able to deliver a great ROAS. So I think those are the kind of things that are really working for platforms. On a parallel side, I would say with Flipkart, we had a case with Xiaomi, where Xiaomi was launching its Redmi Note 12, and for that they wanted, again, for a product launch, obviously there's a lot of awareness that you need to generate. So again, because we are able to identify the right set of audiences, because they had limitations, right? They want to get to audiences who are of a certain budget range. But because we are able to provide, we have that deep integration, we are able to provide a simple cut of people who are browsing for phones between 13,000 to 30,000, we will only target those users. So you have a great level of targeting that you're able to get. You're able to get a great reach in there. We were able to reach 23 million plus audiences, right? With 85% plus video completion rates. So I think the fact that we have partnerships with whether it is OTTs or whether being able to deliver conversions, your full funnel gets taken care of. So I would say that.
Got it. And what's your viewpoint specifically? Leveraging the fintech, leveraging Paytm for the fintech.
Sure.
What is your viewpoint?
So I think one thing that I tell advertisers is that, and obviously one thing that you would always want is to spend on me first, right? But the reason I'm not talking of native advertising on Paytm, right? I'm saying that today when Aditya, let's say, runs a campaign on a YouTube or he'll run a campaign on OTT, right? And you could run a campaign on any other retail media as well. There is impression leakage that happens, right? You may end up targeting the same guy, the same audience at multiple platforms today as well. So what a fintech provides in this case is a third-party managed service, right, through an audience network. Like I said, maybe a user of JBL or a user of Assembly is a guy who spends 2 lakh rupees on his credit card every month, right? Maybe he's a guy who takes trips to the movies and trips to, and a certain number of flights every month. Now this audience, and Paytm has a few hundred million audiences, right? We are able to use this audience network on any and every of your third-party platforms. So you're able to target this on an OTT, you're able to target this on a quick commerce, and you're able to target this on a YouTube, a campaign which is run centrally, right? So you're not just limited to number one. First of all, scale is a problem, because when you're doing a campaign separately, you're doing this at smaller scales, right? Number two, attribution is an issue. And number three, there is impression leakage that happens, right? Like I said, that you might be reaching the same guy, right? So and examples, we do this. This is a large business for us. While Paytm ads might be looked at today as the ads that we show on the Paytm app, a larger part of our business actually is our audience network, where we run ingest audience into your campaigns across, right? So that's I think that is the ace that we have today, at least because of the data that we possess.
Got it. So I think lots of learning within the 30 minutes which we've had. Any closing comments on like retail media industry? How do you anticipate it? Quick one-liner.
I mean, it's the breeding ground of, you know, India's a brand-starved market. There are so many new brands across categories that are emerging. I think it's retail media that is going to help SMBs proliferate and brands getting built. So it is the future, you know, for brands getting built in India.
Akhil?
So I think retail media landscape in itself is changing at a very drastic rate in a very rapid manner. If you kind of talk about different players, in the sense when the quick commerce players entered into the market, it also kind of forced the other offline retailers like Shoppers Stop, which has also come into the 30-minute delivery service, and then there is Tata Digital, which is there, and it has come with the Neo Flash quick delivery service. Then there is DMart also, which wants to kind of enter into this quick commerce delivery. And if leaving aside the quick commerce players, there are big retail giants like HUL, who recently bought Minimalist as a brand. And then there are other big retailers also, like ITC bought Yoga Bar as an example. So there are it's like we are sitting in a very exciting time. The retail landscape is changing in a very, very drastic and a very rapid manner.
For me, I'd say we're now in the era of retail media 2.0, where traditionally retail media was viewed as this lower funnel thing which only drives sales. Now we're in the era where people are realizing, where all the brands are realizing that it is beyond that as well, and it can be used as a full funnel tool. I think that is what is going to be important.
No, I think this is the age of the Indian consumer being the spoiled most, of course. You want everything now, you want everything in the smallest of sizes and the most discounted of prices, right? So I think retail media and is only going to grow, and this share that you mentioned is and I think it's up to advertisers and publishers to sort of figure out how to best utilize this. But yeah, the future of retail media growing as a share of the pie is I think more clear than any time it could be.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I think we had a good, quick session, just capturing some of the key points. So one is, all of us believe that retail media is the future. There are certain challenges in regards to attribution, in regards to parity, but at the same time, I think Medhabi spoke a lot about the full funnel approach. So don't just look at retail media as the bottom funnel, it's the full funnel. And what Paytm can do is leverage a lot of audiences. So it's not just about advertising, but we could use the audience which is there with Paytm to categorize and to sell better. So I think this is what we have. If there are any questions from the audience, we can have a quick 5-minute sort of Q&A session. Any questions, or doesn't seem like so? Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the company. It was a quick, good session, and I think we solved a lot of problems. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.